7, my textiles teacher wrote on my report card, "Lara and textiles, a waste of time." This cemented my school experience as the rebel, as the child who would be dead in a gutter by the age of 21. Even though I knew that I wanted to go to university and be a lawyer. I didn't do the lawyer thing though. I did go to uni and I became a teacher. After 14 years in the education system, I can tell you that it's not working. In fact, it's failing many of our children terribly. Assessment is a big part of that system, justified by the idea that it helps teachers to know what their children know, can do and understand. But the process merely ends up labelling rather than enabling our children. I have seen time and time again the impact of labels on children. Rowdy boys, quiet girls, smart kids, dumb kids. These labels tell children where they fit in society and play a part in who they become. What if instead of labelling children, we actually listened to them? What if we let them show us what they're capable of and we got to know them? Jimmy was a 12-year-old student of mine who had the label of the naughty boy, who couldn't read or write, and therefore he couldn't learn. In our science class, we were beginning a topic on pulleys and gears. The equipment was sitting on the table in front of the children as I was explaining to them about the topic. Jimmy grabbed the equipment and went to the back of the class. Other teachers would have asked him to stop and listen, but I knew that he'd had a difficult morning. I knew that he'd fought with his father. I knew that he'd spent his lunchtime in detention for misbehaving in another teacher's class earlier that morning. I could see that he wasn't hurting anyone from what he was doing, so I let him be. After I'd set the task for the lesson, I went over to Jimmy to see what he'd done. The structure that he had built was incredibly intricate, and it showed his absolute knowledge of pulleys and gears and how they work. At the end of the topic, all of the children had to do a test, a written test. And Jimmy's results showed that he had limited understanding of that equipment. But his creation that day showed me that he had the potential to be a brilliant engineer. He knew how those things worked better than anyone else in his class. Because of the assessment system, I wasn't allowed to give him the A that he truly deserved. When we reduce children to a label, to a number or a word on a page, how can we possibly get a true picture of who they are as people? Education should be a place for a child to allow them to find themselves, their passion and their strengths. We need to listen to children, to see them as more than a piece of paper and to let them show us what they are truly capable of. Having a conversation with a child like Jimmy is the start of developing a connection to him. Rita Pearson, in her powerful talk, "Every Child Needs a Champion," said that children don't learn anything from people they don't like. We need to get to know our children and to build relationships with them to be able to give them the opportunity to reach their full potential. How many Jimmys are in your class? And do you really know them? Next time you're about to kick them out of your class, ask them how their day was and listen to their story. Then make a commitment to help Jimmy become the engineer that he was meant to be.